Karibu back. Now we want to continue with the discussions from matters to do with the African Anti-Corruption Day. We want to move forward and focus on matters concerning animal welfare here in Kenya. Now, when we talk about humans and animals, there's always this debate that, we need to take care of our animals, but are we really doing so? Sometimes we compromise the welfare of the animal because it's infringes on the welfare of the humans. But how can we be able to just make sure that, both the human and animals get to live and enjoy life without, feeling there's conflict here and there. The other one has to go, and in most cases, it is the animal. So what do we need to do to keep the animal welfare in sight? And, because, we are animals are our pride, especially the wild animals. Tourism is one of our biggest revenue sources here in Africa, in Kenya for that matter. So what more do we need to do to protect our wildlife, especially our big cats? That is a discussion that we want to have. And with us in studio, I'll start with the lady with me on set. She is Edith Kabesiime, who is the Wildlife Campaign Manager working with World Animal Protection. Karibu sana, Edith. Welcome.
Good morning.
All right, and the gent with us in studio, he is Dr. Patrick Muinde, who is the Research Manager working with World Animal Protection. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
All right, so as always, you know the drill. Questions, comments, clarifications, shoot them through using hashtag Good Morning Kenya at KBC Television, and 20154 is the SMS number. Now, before we even get to the issues that face animals and humans, let's just start by understanding what World Animal Protection is all about. Let me hear from you, Edith.
Yeah, thank you so much, Edith. Jane, and good morning, Kenya. World Animal Protection is an international charity. It's an NGO. Okay. We are based in the UK, but we work in over 15 countries globally. And we've been around for the last over 50 years as an organization globally, but of course in Kenya, we've been around for around 6 years. And our mandate, as you put it rightly, we are an animal welfare organization. Our mission is to ensure that animals are really properly looked after. We move the world, basically that is our mission. We move the world, protect animals, and our vision is the world where really animals are free from suffering and cruelty. That is what we are all about. As an organization, we work in about 4 campaign areas. Yeah. So we focus on animals in farming. So those are animals that, of course, we depend on for food. Specifically, currently, we are focusing on the chicken. We are focusing on the pigs because those are the animals that are globally raised in huge numbers and are supplying our food system. Then we work on animals in communities. These are our dogs. These are companion animals, and I believe every Kenyan almost has a dog. I have 2 dogs.
Dogs are awesome.
Yeah, they're awesome. Then we also focus on animals in disasters, because usually when disasters strike, everybody's running to save themselves, the human beings, and we forget that animals are part of us. And usually when we want to spring back and go back to our normal lives, we need these animals. So for us, we move in to save the lives of animals. And then lastly, we work for animals in the wild. And this is the campaign that I head. My colleagues, of course, support me in that campaign. We work as a team. Yeah. And really the bottom line is that wild animals are wild. And we love them being kept in the wild. This is the whole campaign around that campaign area.
All right. Yeah. Let me come to you, Patrick. Now, where do we stand when it comes to how we protect animal welfare? Let's start with Kenya as a whole. Where do we stand?
Okay, as you will agree with me, animal welfare is a big issue now. How we treat our animals, it will determine the end product which you get. For example, if we're talking, when you talk about food animals, like pigs and chickens, how you raise them in the farm, how you transport them, how these animals are slaughtered, it will definitely affect the end product which you love. And these are the issues which you are talking about, creating awareness to the producers and to the retailers to ensure we treat our animals in a better way. We meet the animal welfare standards, the 5 animal welfare freedoms, ensuring they have a better place where they're staying, ensuring they have food, ensuring they are treated when they're sick. So these are some of the issues we are talking about, and also linking them to issues which are affecting humans. For instance, you know, antibiotic resistance is a big issue now. And in many cases, there's misuse of antibiotics in the farms.
Yeah.
And if that is not taken care of, if the things like withdrawal period is not checked, you'll have these residues in the food which you consume. About food safety, everyone wants food which is safe for consumption. So these are some of the issues which we are talking about, which definitely relates to animal welfare. When you take good care of the animal at the farm, you won't require antibiotics. The end product, the food, will be safe for human consumption. So we are seeing animal welfare as a key issue which can be used to solve these issues which are facing us today.
All right. Now, when it comes to animal welfare and where humans are involved, you know, this man-animal conflict, in most cases, man will compromise, would rather do away with the animal just to protect man. You know, just the other day in one of our segments that we usually have on Thursday, we're talking about trending topics, and we're just talking about a man who was mauled by a hyena while he was herding his animals. You know, it's around the areas that we live. You know, he was just going about his day, herding the cattle, and then a hyena attacked, and he tried to protect the animal by, you know, chasing away the hyena, but the hyena in turn turned on him. Yeah. So many other times you're just driving, you see a random lion. There was a report a while back, you know, a pack of lions was just moving around in the areas of Kajiado, where, you know, we have the national park. The other day, there was also a story of a hyena that, you know, attacked a man, and it was out, and ultimately, people tracked it down and they killed it. Now, when it comes to man and animal conflict, how do we handle such situations? Because at the end of the day, an animal is an animal. And man's first instinct is to flight, or what is the other one?
Or even fight.
You freeze, or you fight, or you run away, flight. Yes. Now, in most cases, you will fight. Yeah. What do we do in such cases? Because, you know, animals also have rights, but you also have rights as a human. So what do you do in such situations?
Yeah, you put it rightly that an animal is an animal.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we begin from as World Animal Protection, where we say animals are wild, therefore they should be left to be in the wild. But of course we know that human populations are growing. Demand for space
encroaching into
is growing, and it has been growing over many, many years, and it will continue to grow. Wildlands will continue to shrink. And of course, these animals have no choice but to conflict with us. And of course, we will conflict with them by choice, because we can make choices about our behaviors. Yeah. We can make choices about our population growth. And we have failed to manage those choices as human beings. And ultimately, what happens are those conflicts between creatures that live in the wild and ourselves as human beings. Of course, it's unfortunate when it happens that a human being is attacked and is killed by an animal when he's also going about his business.
And then we retaliate and kill the animal.
And then we retaliate and kill the animal. Yeah. That is the unfortunate situation that we are living in currently. And unfortunately, it's going to continue and it's going to escalate as long as we do not check that interaction as human beings. Human-wildlife conflict, of course, is one of the drivers that is impacting really on the welfare of animals because of reduced space, reduced food, reduced area to roam, because inherently animals need a lot of space to roam. They need a lot of space to hunt. They need a lot of space to be able to find mates. And once that space is compromised by human activity, by an urbanization, then all those conflicts are bound to happen. Yeah. And all we need to do is to educate people and also devise ways as wildlife managers on how to manage those conflicts. But unfortunately, with time, animals kind of adapt, and at the end of the day, human will retaliate in ways that will ultimately eradicate these animals, and that is the extinctions that we are facing. I'll give you an example. We lost the last, I think, northern rhino in Kenya, white rhino in Kenya, which was here, I think. That was the last one. In Morocco, they killed their last lion in 1920. That is many, many, many years ago. So if we are talking about, for instance, lions, if we're talking about lions, I think are one of the creatures that are facing extinction at the fastest rate because of shrinking landscapes, shrinking praise for them. For instance,
the resources.
Yeah, resources. For instance, in Uganda, last year we lost about 10% of our lions in one of the national parks due to human-wildlife conflicts because of poisoning. So it's a huge problem, and we acknowledge that. Yeah.
So especially, I think this human-animal conflict comes when we are stepping on each other's sides of the boundaries. You know, we do not have proper measures to make sure that this is animal land, man is encroaching on forest and animal land, and that, you know, in turn leads to this problem keeps going. And when you talk about, you know, our big cats, you guys have done a report recently. Maybe you could tell us a bit about that report, and, you know, tell us an overview of this report and what are some of the biggest causes that are leading to, you know, the declining numbers, especially for our lions. My God, our lions.
I think before I take you through the report, the research which you did, I'd like to add something to what my colleague said. One of the big challenges facing wildlife is urbanization. We lack good urbanization planning. Many infrastructures, many cities are coming up, and definitely these are being built the species which were occupied by animals before. Therefore, that encroachment is still going. So unless we come up with urban planning, which also keeps in mind we have wildlife, we also need space to live.
For them,
Yes. The other issue which is coming with that is the populations. They are getting separated. You have small populations, which affect the breeding of these animals. So if this continues, we see many decrease of these old populations. And also maybe extinction, which is something which has happened, like she mentioned the rhino. So yes, then I'll speak about the report which you did.
Yes.
We call it Trading in Cruelty report.
Trading in cruelty.
Yes, trading in cruelty. Basically, this report shows how breeding of big cats. When I say big cats, I mean things, species like lions, leopards, jaguars, tigers,
cheetahs.
Yes, that's what should come to your mind.
Okay.
So these species are being bred in captivity to supply traditional Asian medicines. And the report mapped the chain, how the breeding facilities are connected to the consumer nations, and highlights how these animals are suffering. And also how, because like in South Africa, trading of lion bones is permitted. And also the report highlights how that is leading to more illegal poaching of wildlife to supply into this chain. This report was done we focused on South Africa, which is one of the biggest breeding facilities or countries in Africa, and also recognized globally, where we have between 6,000 to 8,000 lions being bred in these farms. And most of the consumer nations, they are in Asian continent, and the production, I mean the breeding facility in South Africa, they supply these consumer nations. As you know, traditional medicine is something which is coming up, and even last year, 2018, WHO recognized it as one of the viable options.
Alternatives, yeah.
Yes, alternatives for treatment. And this, in a way, it has fueled the demand for these traditional Asian medicines. And the issue is, it is not yet confirmed clinically by modern science if these traditional Asian medicines are effective. So there's a lot of research to be done to see if that is true. Because more the people are consuming them, it's on beliefs. They believe, yes, if I get this, I'll get cured. Because some of the funny things are they treat your rheumatism, they increase your libido and those kind of things. So these bones, they contain keratin, what is on your nails or hair. So there is nothing which is special about them. So we're working on creating this awareness, trying to enlighten people. These products, they don't have any medicinal value. And if they do, we can't use other alternatives like herbal medicine, which a lot of research has been done on that.
Plant-based.
Yeah, plant-based. Yeah, so that's what the report was talking about. We did also investigate how these animals are kept in captivity in big numbers. They are confined in small species in cages, which measure as small as 4 by 7 meters. You can imagine that space, keeping a lion in such a small space.
Yeah.
Well, in the world, these are animals which like cover big range, tracts of land.
Yeah.
Going as high as 100 kilometers square. So you can imagine staying there all your life. And it doesn't start there. Like the cubs when you are young, people go there for tourist attractions. Okay, you go there to get those tourist experiences, to pet the cubs, to walk with the lions, and those kind of issues. Then when you become adult, you are hunted for your trophies. These hunters, they're interested in the heads and the skins. Then the carcass is sold again for these bones, which are used to make traditional Asian medicines. So it's quite, there's commodification from the cub, the young
from
lion.
the time they're born.
Yeah, from the time we are born to the time we are dead. So you can imagine. And all is cruel. It's a cruel process. There is a lot of speed breeding, whereby mothers, they are bred more frequently than they should, constantly, like production machines, as to say. And the young ones are separated from their mothers in a few weeks after birth. Well, in the world, they stay as long as 2 years, or even more than that. And that social life age, lions, they live in a pride, in a group.
They're denied that.
Yes, they are denied that. So, so this report highlighted all those kind of things and how illegal poaching of lions is fueling this trade.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to our awareness levels, because clearly we have the resources, we have, I think Africa has the largest population of all wild animals.
Sure.
We have all the animals. And of course, the resources are here, but the business is mostly taking place outside the continent. When it comes to our awareness levels, where do we stand? Because it seems like we don't really know the consequences of what we are really doing. Let me hear from you, Edith.
Yeah, that is very correct. We do not know how much we are losing as a continent in terms of our heritage. But even in economic terms, perhaps we do not know. Because you'll be walking along maybe a path in some rural place where there's a national park, and you will bump into somebody who said, hey, by the way, I have a cheetah cub. Can I sell it to you? And how much money are you paying this person? Maybe it is perhaps not more than $20
for a cub.
For a cheetah cub. But remember, when this cheetah cub is taken maybe to some of those Arab countries, it is sold as much as maybe $20,000 US, $40,000 US. That is so much money. But leave alone that, if that cub was left to remain in the wild and the tourists are coming to see that cub in the wild, you can imagine how much money would be generated in terms of the nights that this tourist is spending in the hotels, the entrance fee, and then how many more tourists would come to see that cheetah, say, in a period of 10 years. That is so much money lost just because one individual wanted to earn $20 out of selling
2,000 bob.
Yeah, of selling a cub just to buy a kilo of ugali. So I think the level of awareness is so low, and that is why one of our approaches as wild animal protection is raising awareness about some of these issues. campaign mobilization, public mobilization is one of those approaches that we use to educate the public, to educate policymakers, to educate the business people about this. So awareness raising is very important. But also in the that is in the source countries, but also in the consumer countries, there's a lot of awareness. There's a lot that is not known. For instance, this report partly highlights that consumers would perhaps not consume products containing lion bones, products containing tiger bones, if they knew that these lions and tigers are raised in such horrible conditions.
But some of them, I think they know.
Our research shows that, that if they knew, for instance, in China, the consumers know that, actually they say if they knew that these tigers were raised in such horrible conditions, they would not
be part of the trade.
They would not support the trade, they would not buy the products. But they also knew that if there were alternatives that can be used instead of the lion bones, instead of the tiger bones, and those alternatives were affordable, they would go for those alternatives.
So there's still a but.
So there's a but. So a lot of awareness is needed, as you put it rightly. There is very low levels of awareness, and I think as organizations that are championing this, we need to step up in terms of raising that awareness.
The awareness level.
How do we do it? Of course, as I said, we do public mobilization online, offline, but we also do a lot of awareness on offline because, you know, of course, right now, the world is one connected village. Yesterday, as we were launching our report here in Nairobi, some information was being shared online in South Africa, meaning that we need to harness the power of social media to raise awareness. And it is one of those approaches that we are adopting as wild animal protection.
All right. Now, as we're speaking solutions even that are in sight, what more, because there are laws and policies that are in every country. And just as you said, in South Africa, it is allowed for the keeping animals in captivity. It is allowed. That is according to the law. And it is not good for the animals. So when it comes to our laws and policies, what more do we need to do? What do we need to change? What do we need to add to try and just ensure that animals are taken care of?
Yeah, basically, first I'll take you through where we are now. Lions, they were spread across Africa, the whole continent.
Yeah. But
to date, you can only find them in Southern and East Africa, where you find 80% of them.
So
in
sad.
West Africa, they are critically endangered. When you talk about numbers, in Africa, we have around 20,000 lions. And here in Kenya, you have around 2,000 lions. And the illegal trade in South Africa is causing illegal poaching of wildlife to supply that chain. Okay? Something from our research, which shows even the neighboring countries like Botswana, they're being affected by that. Where lions are killed in those countries, then the carcass is taken to South Africa. You cannot differentiate between the wild carcass and the one from the farm.
Yeah.
Okay. In South Africa, the legal trade is for captive bred lions, the ones which are in the farms. When you come to Kenya, there are no captive breeding now in Kenya, which is something good. And I think most of the countries in Africa, like South Africa, can learn from that. And most of our wildlife and lions, they are in the wild, where they have all the room, they have all the space to go and hunt. The only challenge is poaching, which is caused by human wildlife traffic, conflict, something which we discussed, just discussed. And what we see is a lot of poisoning. People are poisoning these lions, and they are affecting the groups because they work as groups. So that is something which we need to talk to create awareness and to let people how these lions are important in our lives and how we should take care of them and try to use the small space which is left, because even we see the population still growing, and that does not mean because we are growing we need to kill all these species. they also have the same right as us to use this earth. Yeah.
All right. So questions to do with, we need to just get rid of this allowing animals to be kept in captivity. That needs to go.
Yes, yes. Basically, currently as an organization, we are pushing South Africa to end captive breeding of lions, to stop it, because we have seen how that is cruel to these animals, and how it is leading to them suffering all the way from when they are born to when they are dead.
All right.
So it's something which we are working on, trying to push government so that that is stopped.
All right. Now, when it comes to improving the quality of life of our wild animals, especially our big cats, which the report is what this report is all about, what more do you feel needs to be done to just, when it comes to specifically improving the quality of our wild animals? Man aside, we will take care of ourselves. But when it comes to improving the quality of our wild animals, what more do we need to do? Especially starting with animal land.
Yeah, I think starting with animal land, we need to, for instance, if we talk about KWS, which is mandated to take care of Kenya's wildlife. If we talk about, say, Uganda Wildlife Authority, which also has the same mandate as KWS here, and similar agencies across Africa. Yeah. I think, first of all, the issue of managing the ecology of the landscapes, I think that is very, very important. Predators like lions need enough food to be able to survive in the wild, because that is one of the freedoms, one of the 5 freedoms of animals. They need enough food. If I use the example in Uganda, in one of the national parks, Queen Elizabeth National Park, which has been invaded by alien plant species. Lion numbers, besides being wiped out because of the conflict between humans and people, I mean humans and the lions, there's been an issue of reduced food prey because of reduced quality of the vegetation. So now, right now, what management is doing is removing the alien species that had kind of compromised the quality of the vegetation and reduced the hunting ability of these big cats. So removing the shrubs, removing the bad plants that are compromising the quality of the national park will greatly improve hunting areas for the big cats, kind of helping the animals to see their prey. Because if you have a national park that is full of a lot of woody plants, which are not even endemic to this country, then you're compromising the quality.
There's so much obstruction.
Yeah, there's so much obstruction, and the prey is reducing, and the predators cannot find the food. So that is what we are doing, for instance, in Uganda. That's an example of how you can improve the ecology of the place, so that animals are able to hunt. But there are so many other mechanisms. For instance, managing human wildlife conflicts is also one of those ways that we can improve the welfare of animals inside national parks. Of course, there are so many models that scientists have come up with on how to manage human wildlife conflicts. Of course, some of them are successful and others are not. And of course, the success varies from place to place, country to country. That's another way of improving the welfare of animals inside protected areas.
All right. Yeah. All right. Now, you have actually mentioned, animal freedoms that most people don't really know actually are there. Maybe you could take us quickly over these animal freedoms that, so that people can actually get to understand what these freedoms are.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. What do you mean with animal welfare? Basically, animal welfare is physiological status of the animal, or whether it's the animal, both physically and physiologically. And we start with, there are 5 freedoms which guides us to define animal welfare. First one is freedom from discomfort. It needs to be comfortable where you are. That means where you are being kept is a clean place, it is enough place where you can exhibit your normal behavior. Okay? Freedom number 2 is freedom from pain. and distress. When you are sick, an animal needs to be treated when it's sick.
Yeah.
When it's injured, needs to be treated for the same.
As opposed to this mentality that, if it's in the wild, if it's injured, let it natural course happen.
It's an animal after all.
Yeah.
Yes, it's an animal after all.
Even from what I understand, that is what, is the general thought out there. If you see a wild animal injured, you're not supposed to intervene.
Yes. Basically, animals, they are sentient beings.
Okay.
They have feelings. They have emotions. They feel pain.
All right.
Yes.
So that's don't see a wild animal suffering and say, let nature take its course. If you can help.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, you should. Okay.
So that's number 2.
Number 2.
Yeah.
Then the other one is freedom to exhibit your normal behavior. What do I mean? That is not confining. For example, I mentioned how wild animals have been confined in small cages. There they cannot go to look for their food. They cannot go hunting. They cannot live in groups.
Yeah.
Why should you be caged? So I should be there in the wild where I have all the space to do.
To be an animal.
To be an animal.
Yeah.
Yes. Then the other one is freedom to like when animals are sick, many people, they don't think like, yes, it's good, these animals, they need to be treated and those kind of things. Okay, they feel they are hardy animals.
Yeah.
They can stay like that, which is not the case. They also need to be taken care of. Then the other one is freedom from anger.
Anger?
Yes,
okay.
Hunger. Okay? That is food. Basically, that is food.
Oh, hunger, yeah.
The animals, they need to be fed.
Yeah.
They need water. Okay? They should be taken care of. Okay? And all those freedoms, they get us to ensure these animals are in better conditions.
Okay.
They are living happily, and they live as us as humans. They have better shelters, okay, which are clean, which are hygienic. Yeah.
All right. Now, as we bring the conversation to a close, maybe what would be your message in terms of a call to action to the general public when it comes to animal welfare? Let me start with you, Edith.
Yeah. Actions are at different levels. Those actions at personal level. As human beings, as an individual, as Edith, we need to take care of our animals. For instance, if I have an animal in my possession, then I need to take that responsibility and look after that animal and make sure the 5 freedoms he has talked about are fulfilled. But in relation to this report we've just launched, which is about safeguarding the welfare of big cats, at individual level, we are asking people to join us, join our campaign, join the movement, go to our website, sign our petition, be part of this global campaign to safeguard the welfare of Africa's big cats.
Okay.
At government level, these are people who are policy makers, they are implementers. We are calling upon them to really fulfill their mandate, enhance their capacity to be able to protect. For instance, curb down poaching of Africa's big cats from our national parks, and also ensure that regulations and that laws that govern the protection of animals are really respected and they are enforced.
Yeah.
Because usually that's where you find the loopholes and all this poaching takes place, trafficking takes place, our borders are porous. There are so many stakeholders, customs, all these law enforcement agencies. We ask them to really fulfill their mandate and do what they're supposed to do.
All right.
And then, of course, the Kenyan government, we know they have been one of the countries, I think, on this continent that has always ensured that even at the global level, their voices are visible, their voices are heard, especially in international conferences like the CITES, which is upcoming next month. We encourage Kenyan delegation to speak for these big cats, especially the tigers, where I think there is a proposal to even stop international trade in captive bred tigers.
Yeah.
The same should happen also for Africa's lions.
All right.
Yeah, that is what we are asking of the police, our policy makers,
all right,
who can speak at that international
level and get the word out there.
Yeah.
All right. Very briefly, in under 30 seconds, I'm told our time is completely up. But Patrick, your parting shot in terms of calling a call to action for the greater population, for man.
Yes. Yes. What I'll say is we need to conserve our wildlife. If we don't take actions now, the people will be coming after us. They won't be able to see these species, these charismatic species. It is upon us to act, not tomorrow, but today and now, to protect our wildlife.
You need to act now, today and now, to try and protect our animals. You know, just from this discussion, we have only about 2,000 lions in Kenya. 2,000. That is clearly a problem that needs to be addressed, because, you know, we need to let them be. We need to let animals be animals, and they can only do that when they are in their natural habitat and they are comfortable, just basing on the animal rights and freedoms. Now, we have been talking about animal welfare, you know, basing on the report that was put out yesterday by the World Animal Protection Organization, just looking at endangered cat species, the cat species, especially lions and tigers. And, you know, when it comes to tigers, there's a video that is going around on social media about white tigers that are kept in captivity, that are inbred, and they are born with so much challenges. Some of them even have cleft lip. Can you imagine a tiger with a cleft lip? First of all, it cannot even be able to feed well, and it is kept in captivity. They have kidney issues, they have melanin issues, they have so many problems that is as a result of man's actions. So we need to come together and try and protect our animals as best as we can. We have been speaking with Edith Kabesiime, who is the Wildlife Campaign Manager at World Animal Protection. Thank you very much. And of course, we also have Dr. Patrick Muinde, who is the research manager, also working with World Animal Protection. Now, that's that when it comes to my end of things today, but we have other discussions coming up in not too long. Keep the conversation going using the hashtag #GoodMorningKenya on Twitter.